Hey, honey,
Yes, Barry?
let's get out of here.
Where are we going?
Where do we always go?
Me fascina el viento, este ritmo de palmas, sin mi naturaleza, hasta encontrar la playa. Por eso grito al mundo, yo soy de Puerto Vallarta. Samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar. Samba de Puerto Vallarta.
Hello, fellow travelers, and welcome to this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. I'm your host, Barry Kessler, and I'm just so happy to be introducing you to my favorite vacation destination. Hey, maybe it's even yours, and that's Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. That music you were listening to is performed by Alberto Perez, and Alberto is the owner of the Lapa Lapa group of restaurants. Those are the Lapa Lapa, Puerto Vallarta's oldest restaurant on the famous Los Muertos Beach, and then there's the El Dorado Restaurant Beach Club right next door. So you can enjoy that fantastic view of the Los Muertos Pier, all lit up at night in beautiful colors, or during the day in its grand splendor for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, seated with your toes in the sand right at the water's edge, or riverside at the newest addition to the Grupo, the Le Bistro Jazz Cafe overlooking the Rio Quale on beautiful Isla Quale. Lapa Lapa, El Dorado, and Le Bistro Jazz Cafe. They are so romantic. They're so Puerto Vallarta, my friends. This week we are going to the Versalles Neighborhood in Puerto Vallarta. We're going to visit two restaurants and sports bars. They're owned by Lawrence Goodwin and his wife, Reanna. They are El Rey Barbecue and Grill and the Office PV, just 3 blocks away from each other. These two places are very popular hangouts in Versalles, where one day it's a football game, the next day, well, depending on the day, it could be a drag show. Lawrence is very, very deep into tequila. And, the culture that is. He's going to tell you all about his tastings. Lawrence is the Agave Abogado. You're going to love him. We have Vallarta news and more, so let's see what's happening this week, the 18th of December, 2025. They're busy making everything look festive for the holidays. The sail on the Los Muertos Pier has been converted to a Christmas tree with some lighting effects. And on the Malecon, they moved the giant Christmas tree from the spot near the lighthouse to be closer to the amphitheater. And it's right across the street then from City Hall and right next to the famous arches, of course. It looks very beautiful. And remember that lots of restaurants close for Christmas Eve and Christmas Day. Many are doing special menus, so check out their Facebook pages. Make sure that they're serving that special menu. Just make sure that they're open, let's just say. Many employers don't like to pay the inflated holiday wages. You have to pay a little extra for holidays. And others just want to give their employees the day off, a chance to be with their families and spend it with the holidays. So check first or spin the wheel of fortune. Take your chances if you like. We can actually see the red star on top of that Christmas tree from our balcony. And just yesterday, I caught my first splash of the returning humpback whales. And speaking of whales, an American expat was killed in a freak accident with a whale in Puerto Vallarta. This is from Vallarta Reporter Online, December 8th, 2025. Puerto Vallarta whale collision kills local expat. A tragic accident off Olas Altas Beach on Friday afternoon left an American resident dead after a small boat collided with a surfacing whale just meters from shore. The victim, identified locally as Linda Height, a longtime Puerto Vallarta resident in her early 70s, died almost instantly from severe neck trauma. A second passenger, a 55-year-old woman known as Laurie, suffered a head injury but is reported stable. The collision occurred around 3:40 p.m. on December 5th in a busy stretch of the bay, frequently used by swimmers, water taxis, and small private boats. Emergency personnel from Civil Protection and the fire department responded quickly after receiving a call about a seriously injured passenger on a small motor vessel. According to early reports, the boat was traveling along its normal coastal route when a whale surfaced directly beneath or beside the hull, striking it with significant force. The vessel remained afloat and did not suffer major structural damage, but the abrupt impact sent both passengers off balance, fatally injuring Haidt. Fire Chief Jorge Misael Lopez Muro noted that the whale likely absorbed much of the physical blow due to its size, while the smaller craft took the brunt of the shock. No injuries to the animal were observed, and it did not strand in the area. Initial confusion over the number of people on board later gave way to confirmation that only 2 American women were passengers. The captain and crew, who are not publicly identified, are expected to provide statements as part of ongoing investigation. The Jalisco State Prosecutor's Office has opened a formal inquiry to determine whether maritime regulations were followed and whether the collision was avoidable. Investigators will analyze GPS data, vessel speed, weather conditions, and interviews from the surviving passenger and nearby boat operators. For Puerto Vallarta's expat community, Haidt's death has struck a deeply personal chord. A familiar stretch of coastline has suddenly become the site of a rare but devastating reminder of the risks that come with the bay's growing maritime activity. Sad. I have a link to that article from the Vallarta Reporter in the show notes. So this was apparently just a freak accident, and really bad luck for the lady who lost her life and her family and her friends, all those that she leaves behind. And of course, we were hoping for a speedy recovery for the other lady who was injured. When you're not strapped down and the boat comes to an abrupt stop, you keep going. It's not a good sight. It's not good to be on a boat that stops suddenly. People aren't wearing seatbelts on boats. You know what I mean? Being killed by a whale, that's got to be pretty rare. And so I looked this up. I found one story on the interwebs about someone being killed by a whale. I found it on Tomo News US. This happened 10 years ago, March 12th, 2015. A Canadian tourist was fatally injured when a gray whale leapt from the water, crashed into a boat sailing off of Mexico's Pacific coast on Wednesday. A total of 24 passengers and crew were aboard a whale-watching vessel, which had set out from the popular tourist destination of Cabo San Lucas. Reports say a gray whale suddenly appeared in front of the boat while the group was returning to port. The whale shot out of the water, struck 3 tourists who had been standing on the deck. The impact knocked the 45-year-old Canadian woman into the water. A fellow passenger, trained as a qualified nurse, administered mouth-to-mouth, but failed to revive the stricken woman, who was later pronounced dead at the hospital. The 2 other injured tourists were also hospitalized. Their injuries are said to be non-life-threatening. Well, another sad story, right? Now, this particular Canadian woman who was killed was on a whale-watching excursion, meaning the boat was, at some time during the excursion, trying to get close to whales. While the last incident happened, it was kind of a freak accident. Well, maybe they both were, if you think, they both had whales breaching at a certain moment. And this particular one wasn't even officially whale watching season in Vallarta. Vallarta's whale watching season began on the 9th of December, and the incident happened on the 5th of December. So while a whale versus human death seems to be a pretty rare occurrence, it got me thinking, how many people die each year in accidents between cars and, deer, for example? Came upon a study. This was done at Purdue University. Here's what they found. According to the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety, there are approximately 1.5 million deer vehicle collisions in the United States each year, resulting in about 150 deaths. and over $1 billion in vehicle damage. The average claim of these deer collisions is $3,995. And so I thought, well, what about car versus moose? And according to an article from A to Z Animals.com, in the state of Maine alone, between the years of 2003 and 2017, that's a 14-year period, there were 7,062 collisions between a moose and a car, resulting in 26 human deaths. So how about shark? How about shark versus humans? Well, the average is 1 per year in the United States. So, interestingly enough, I always thought there were more than that. Anyhow, my deepest condolences to the victims and the families of this very tragic and very rare, evidently very rare event that happened in the Bahia de Banderas, the beginning of December. And don't let this sour you on the wonders of whale watching season. Get out there if you can. Take a tour, get up close to these huge humpback whales. Not too close. There's a lot of certified whale watching companies out there on the bay. And of course, you can see them from the shore. You can see them reaching. You can see them slapping the water with their tails and with their fins and carrying on and whatnot. And you can see all that. And if you have an ocean view room, chances are you see them out there playing there too. Just remember, pack your binoculars with you when, you're getting ready to come to Puerto Vallarta. You'll really be glad you did. Don't leave them at home. They won't do you any good at home. Bring them with you. And the whales are here from December until the end of March. January is coming up fast. January and February are the most active months for whale watching and for seeing whales on the Bahia de Banderas. So don't miss that. They are amazing. The replacement of our sunken pirate ship, our beloved Mar Galante, is well on its way to the Bahia de Banderas. If you thought that it was close, well, it's getting closer. This is also from the Vallarta Reporter. Mar Galante 2 approaches Puerto Vallarta, bringing back iconic pirate ship tours. December 12th, 2025, Puerto Vallarta is set to welcome the return of a longtime nautical favorite as the Mar Galante 2 makes its final journey towards Banderas Bay. On Sunday, December 7th, the replica galleon reached the entrance of the Panama Canal at Puerto Colón, where it prepared to cross from the Atlantic to the Pacific Ocean. If weather conditions cooperate, the vessel is expected to arrive in Puerto Vallarta within the next 2 weeks. The Mar Galante 2 receives the spirit of the original Mar Galante, a ship that for years delighted visitors with popular daytime and evening tours. Although the original vessel now rests at the bottom of the bay, the new galleon is intended to carry its legacy on, preserving the historical atmosphere and entertainment that made it a standout attraction. Modeled after the Santa Maria attributed to Juan de la Costa, the Mar Galante 2 blends traditional design with modern construction. The ship features a reinforced steel structure complemented by cedar and ebony finishes, providing durability while maintaining its classic appearance. With 3 towering masts and board sails, the galleon is designed to once again become a striking presence on the waters of Banderas Bay. The project also aims to restore the pirate-themed shows that once captivated passengers and spectators along the Malecon, where the original Mar Galante was known for its nighttime performances and firework displays. The operating company hopes to begin service before the end of the year, before the end of the holiday season, pending the ship's timely arrival. Port authorities are already coordinating the necessary logistics to ensure a smooth reception and relaunch. Local business owners and tourism operators have welcomed the news, viewing the galleon's return as a boost for winter tourism and a valuable addition to Puerto Vallarta's mix of maritime culture and family-oriented attractions. Updates on arrival dates, opening schedules, and reservations will be shared through the company's social media channels as Amargalante 2 completes its voyage. And I have a link to that article from the Vallarta Reporter in the show notes, and we'll see how long it'll take before we get our nightly fireworks show from the deck of the Mar Galante 2. And stay tuned for that. We'll be watching for it. Over the last few weeks, we've been talking about the work being done on the Malecon, including the 2-block extension north, at the beginning where the Hotel Rosita is. And apparently, they have plans to open it up to traffic. This is weird. I had no idea. But anyway, here's another article. This is from the Vallarta Reporter online as well. It says Mayor Munguia says Avenue near Hidalgo Park will reopen Monday, tomorrow, and pothole repairs to begin in Emiliano Zapata. This article is dated December 12th, 2025. Puerto Vallarta Mayor Luis Ernesto Munguia Gonzalez said the avenue in front of Parque Hidalgo will reopen on Monday, December 15th, and announced the start of pothole repairs in the Emiliano Zapata neighborhood and other areas of the city. The Malecon Extension project along Avenida Mexico, which began October 13th, is scheduled to reach its main completion date on Monday. Project does not include pedestrianizing the avenue and will maintain current traffic flow from Calle Argentina to the 31st of Octubre. Work has focused on raising street levels to improve rainwater drainage through the new storm drains and on standardizing Malecon materials, including porphyry stone, wash seal, and Wixitaria-inspired black gravel designs. New bollards are being installed to improve the area's overall appearance. Munguia explained that while the avenue will reopen before December 15th, some drainage work will continue. The completion of a culvert linked to stormwater collection near the 31st of October will take a few additional weeks, which will temporarily limit left turn access in that area. However, access near the Hotel Rosita and Plaza Small Vallarta will be restored as scheduled. One of the project's key benefits, the mayor noted, is the full renovation of drinking water and drainage lines along the underground installation of electrical cable and other utility services. The project is being funded entirely with municipal resources. Addressing widespread complaints about deteriorating streets, Munguia said the city has developed a multi-year pothole repair plan extending through 2026. Work will begin next year on heavily trafficked avenues such as Boletencito Nacional, Exequio Corona, and Poetas, as well as streets in El Pitial and Ixtapa areas. He said these streets have been neglected for years. He added that pothole repairs are scheduled after the rainy season to ensure proper compaction and longer-lasting results. In the city center, immediate work is planned for cobblestone streets in Emiliano Zapata, Zona Romantica, and El Caloso, with additional repairs still pending in the El Cerro neighborhood. And I have a link to that article again from the Vallarta Reporter in the show notes. Now, as of today, the 18th of December, the street is still being worked on. It's still not open to traffic, but we'll see. We'll see how it looks in a couple of days. It seems kind of strange that the city would reopen this particular 2-block extension to traffic. I thought for sure they were going to close this thing off. I asked a taxi driver yesterday if he knew what the plan was, if he knew if it was reopen or close. He said, hey, city's going to do what the city wants to do. He had no idea. And I guess, as the article reads, the main reason was maybe being done for the sewage pipes and proper drainage. I don't know. I'm not sure. They say it's going to reopen. I believe them. So stay tuned. We'll look forward to seeing the results. It's looking beautiful. Meanwhile, at the south end of the Malecon, where the Malecon extension is, that's the area from the Naval Museum to the pedestrian bridge, the one that crosses the Rio Quale over at the ocean. The work continues on that restoration project. It's looking really nice. There's more places for people to stop and to sit and to relax. Lots of benches there in the new area there, that new stretch of the Malecon, and it's coming along fast, but it's about a month or so away. There's a lot of projects I've been talking about them that are going on in town, and but it's looking really, really nice. I've got pictures in the show notes if you want to take a look at those. I was telling you a couple weeks ago that my father passed away in the middle of October. I want to thank you folks who reached out and sent their condolences. I appreciate that. I had to fly back to the funeral in the United States, and at the time I said that I had a story that I want to share about my mom and my dad. They used to tell us about how they met Elizabeth Taylor. So for those of you who are wondering what Elizabeth Taylor has to do with Puerto Vallarta, and I don't blame you, it's been a long time, but I will suggest a movie that you might see. The one that made Puerto Vallarta famous is the movie The Night of the Iguana. The location of the film was right here in Puerto Vallarta back in 1964. And Elizabeth Taylor actually did not appear in The Night of the Iguana, the film that starred her not-so-secret lover, Richard Burton. And not so secret because that love affair that she had with her down here was splashed all over the tabloids back in the day. Richard Burton was married at the time to a woman named Sybil Williams, and Taylor also happened to be married at the time to Eddie Fisher. But that film and that love affair was... Well, it was one of the things that put Puerto Vallarta on the map. Back to my parents, my mom and dad were high school sweethearts. They were both from Ohio. My dad was from Toledo, Ohio. My mom was from Cleveland. And both of their families, separately, of course, moved west to Los Angeles during the Second World War. And when they were both in junior high school, when they were both junior high school kids. And they met in high school at LA High, and they talk about this story at their senior dance, where one of the senior boys brought as his date the very beautiful and the very young 13-year-old Elizabeth Taylor. She actually had just appeared in her first, I believe it was her first motion picture. It was an MGM film. It was called National Velvet. And it starred a 12-year-old Elizabeth Taylor and a 24-year-old Mickey Rooney. Mickey Rooney played a former jockey who coaches a horse-crazy 14-year-old girl, Elizabeth Taylor, to masquerade and compete in England's gentlemen-only national steeplechase race. And very interesting movie. If you ever get a chance to see it, if you've never seen it, take a look. But anyway, my parents said that all the girls at the senior dance were just beside themselves with jealousy because like right down the street was MGM Studios, and the young Ms. Taylor had her hair done, and her makeup, and her wardrobe, all done by the professionals right down the street. And of course, no other girl at the senior dance could compete with that. Now, could they? She was so beautiful, according to my dad. My mom, not so much. And unfortunately, no cell phone pics. Was 1946, and way before that ever happened. Some interesting facts about National Velvet, if you are interested. If not, too bad. I found it interesting. Elizabeth Taylor was, as I said, only 12 years old when she shot the film. She fell in love with the horse that she rode in the movie. The horse's name was King Charles. And King Charles was gifted to her by MGM Studios after the movie was shot. And during the filming of National Velvet, Taylor fell off of King Charles and she fractured her spine. She broke her back. And, well, she insisted on doing her own stunt work. And that particular injury, that childhood injury, led to chronic back pain, which was a precursor to her drug addiction in later life. And so that, my friends, was my mom and dad's tale that they told to their children and anybody else who happened to be in the room about their brief brush with the famous Elizabeth Taylor. They also had a great deal to do with our first visit to Puerto Vallarta, believe it or not, back in 1984. That was the year that my wife and I first met. We'd only been dating for about 3 or 4 months, and we were looking for a romantic getaway, and Hawaii was on the list, but prices were pretty expensive. But in those days, you could find travel deals in the Sunday newspaper in the travel section. Imagine that. And I still have the newspaper clipping. I took a picture of it and I put it in the show notes. You should take a look at that. It was round-trip airfare out of Tijuana, a week at the Hotel Playa Los Arcos, and a bunch of other little tours thrown in for about $250 per person. Very reasonable. Now, my parents had spent a week in Puerto Vallarta about 10 years earlier, and they made us as kids, when they got back from their trip, watch that slideshow you remember slideshows, right? Oh yeah, all their pictures were slides, and we watched those slideshows on multiple occasions. They had to show everybody. So anyway, we already knew it was a beautiful place, and hey, they must have liked it. They bought us all t-shirts, which I remember wearing when I was in junior high school, by the way. So I thought maybe I'd impress my new girlfriend with my Spanish lingo. And we made our first journey to Puerto Vallarta, as I said, 41 years ago, back in 1984. And I asked Debbie to marry me a couple years later in a restaurant that my dad suggested I take her to. My parents had eaten there 10 years before, said it was the most romantic restaurant in town, and so I said, okay. It was called La Casita, and it was very romantic. It was up in Cinco de Diciembre, up Calle, Panama 387 to be precise. And it's no longer there as a restaurant, but the building's still there. La Casita lost its beautiful view to a condo or two. Who doesn't around here? And actually about 2 months ago, Debbie and I walked up there to have a look. And as I said, the building is still there. Surprisingly enough, so is the tile bench downstairs where we would sit, where La Casita's clients would sit and wait to be seated way back in the day. Great memories. So that is the story of my parents' role in urging the two of us to come to Puerto Vallarta way back when. Who knew that one day it would turn into a lifetime love affair? Who knew it? All right, let's get to our interview, shall we? Let's do it. We very rarely get to the Versalles Neighborhood of Puerto Vallarta, and I really need to do better. But I did today. I have the rare opportunity now to introduce you to 2 restaurants and bars owned and run by a lovely couple, Lawrence and Reanna Goodwin. They're from Oklahoma. Their restaurants are El Rey Bar and Grill, and the other is The Office, PV. How'd you like to have a bar called The Office? Anyway, they're both cozy spaces. They just feel good. They serve great food. They pour great drinks. And they're staffed by folks that really care. They really want to make you feel at home. Lawrence is passionate, of course, about Puerto Vallarta. He's passionate about his friends and his new neighbors in Colonia Versalles and about his clients. He's also passionate about sports, which is why they're sports bars. He likes tequila, and he'll tell you all about it. Lawrence does a pretty mean barbecue as well, and, well, you can try it when you get there. Anyway, let's go right now to Calle Vienna 200 in Colonia Versalles, and let's meet Lawrence Goodwin at El Rey Bar and Grill, and, of course, the sister place, The Office PV. Meet Lawrence. He's your very own Agave Abogado in Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Lawrence, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me, and welcome to El Rey Bar and Grill here today.
Yeah, it's a beautiful place. I'm going to have pictures in the show notes. Make sure you see them. Let's talk about El Rey, and let's talk about The Office, too, right? But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about you. Where are you from, and what was your path that led you to Puerto Vallarta?
So my wife and I, Reanna, are from Oklahoma City, Oklahoma, originally. I came to Puerto Vallarta. It sounds a little bit like maybe your path a bit. It wasn't quite 40 years ago, like you said, yours was, but I think 30 years ago, I was 19 years old. And as a broke 19-year-old will, I scraped together $200 or $300 and got one of those fun jet vacations. If you remember one of those things you could see in the newspapers on the weekends. And that was back before you even had to have a passport, I think, to come to Mexico.
Oh, yeah.
And you just had to have a certified birth certificate and some other form of ID, jump on a direct flight even back then, and came to PV, had no idea what Puerto Vallarta was, looked like, smelled like, tasted like, stayed at some budget-friendly, quote-unquote, hotel out in the hotel zone. I won't mention the name, so I don't remember it anyway. But did recognize quickly cheap booze and bad food, and decided I was getting off property. And so I did. And thank God I did, because if I'd have stayed on that property, I might have not had the same experience that I did that weekend. And going down to Basilio Badillo in the romantic zone, and a kid from Oklahoma City, especially Oklahoma City, the way it looked 30 years ago, was kind of a pretty sheltered existence. To say the least. So being 19 and young and dumb and having a lot of fun with a couple $100 in your pocket for the whole weekend in PV 30 years ago, which you could do handsomely, it sparked an interest, and I just kept coming back and back and back every time I could afford to have a vacation. I wore all my friends out. They all wanted to go try different places around the world, and I didn't. I always came back here, and so much so that after post-COVID, I'm a divorce attorney by trade, hence the Agave Abogado that we'll talk about a little bit later. I learned during COVID I could practice pretty much anywhere, because I did it for a year at my house, and it didn't fold up the practice. And so I said, well, heck, if we can do this from here, we can do it from PV. Nobody would know any different. And I work for myself, so I don't have a boss per se. So as long as I can make the schedule work, the flight to Dallas is direct, couple hours, and then it's a hop, skip, and a jump to Oklahoma City. I mean, OKC is basically North Dallas these days. So that's the way it's worked for 4 years.
No. Well, all right. So you are full-time here. You're living here now, huh?
We live here. We live in this neighborhood in Versalles, have for 4 years. And we love it. We love the community here. I love that people, our Mexican neighbors, know us by name, and we know them by name, and they know we're business owners, and we're participating in the community here. And it's special. It's special to walk down the street and have people tell you good morning, and they know you're not a tourist, and they know that you belong in the neighborhood, and it feels like people have eyes out for you, and helping hands out. So that's nice.
Yeah. Now, you came here with the idea of opening a bar. Was that what was in your head when you decided to move here?
Absolutely not. The last time I opened a bar before the office was about 30 years ago also, and it was a colossal headache / failure, I would say. It would be the most accurate description. I bought a comedy club when I was 22 years old in Oklahoma City called Joker's Comedy Club. I bet the Googler could still find some old images. And I was right between undergraduate school and law school, and I was burnt out after 4.5 years of undergrad and couldn't imagine going straight to law school. So I always had an entrepreneurial spirit. My grandfather was a entrepreneur, which was a fancy way of saying he fractured a law or two. He mostly made his living as a bootlegger during Prohibition and slightly thereafter, while Oklahoma and several places remained what they knew as dry counties in states that in the Bible Belt, like Oklahoma and Kansas and surrounding areas. Then he became a legitimate business person, which means started selling used cars and then used tires. So as legitimate as those guys could be. But I learned a lot. He taught me a lot, and he was a person of integrity in his word, as many people in that line of work had to be, if you stayed in it. So anyhow, I always had that spirit. So I decided I was going to be a nightclub owner. Did that for a couple years. Had no clue what I was doing, and eventually decided to close that operation, go back to law school. I decided I better finish the old education, and so I did.
Yeah. All right. So what sparked you to do it this time?
So no designs on it, to answer your question. Sorry, I got sidetracked there.
Yeah.
No designs on it when we came down here. It truly was a creature of necessity, I guess. Number one, my wife, Reanna, had worked a number of years in kitchens and as a professional trained pastry chef, and in a couple of higher end steakhouse type environments. And so she was really a foodie, but I told her there was no way we're ever getting in the restaurant business, especially here. There's just too much good food in PV, and I don't want to compete with that. And I don't want to have to compete with that. And it's just, it's a tough line of work, So I was looking for a space to get out of my house, as I was just tapping on the table and you made me stop it. I was in similar situations daily with having to do a Zoom call or be on a conference call with a court or something where I needed absolute silence. And all of us that live down here in beautiful PV can attest, it's not always the easiest thing to get some peace and quiet necessarily, especially at a specific time of day that you need it. So I thought I would go find a space to rent and make it my office. And I did. And I called it The Office. Originally designed to be my law office outside of my home here. So I'd have a place to go with some fast Wi-Fi and a little bathroom and just a private area that I could go in and close myself off and do what I needed to do.
Yeah.
So I did, and we designed it as a tiny little office. And during that remodel, I got the bright idea, I'm sure there was some tequila involved, that, hey, Reanna, why don't you throw a bar in that corner over there? And then maybe in the afternoons, people would, stop by. And if there's something we can do to help a neighbor that's moving to the neighborhood after we've lived here a couple of years, we kind of been knocked around a little bit, see if we can impart some knowledge or something we've learned and see what we can do to help. And so that was what it was supposed to be, was kind of this, it was supposed to be my office. And then when I wasn't using it, maybe sort of a co-work type environment, maybe a coffee, maybe a beer, and, hey, who do I hire to move my stuff or paint this wall or whatever, and try to help people in that vein. But as my wife tends to do, she made it too nice and threw air conditioning in and made it too comfortable. And then she let me run with, well, this is a kind of bar I'd like to drink in. And since it's only got 4 or 5 seats here at the bar, I'm going to make it just like it's just for me and my friends. And all of a sudden I had a lot of new friends and we were full quite often. So we got blessed with being fairly busy fairly quickly. And the office has become a cool little institution here in Versalles. It's really a little neighborhood spot. We call it the Cheers of Versalles, and really people. The cool thing about the office is, I don't know if you and your wife have been in, but it's only about 40 meters total, the whole operation.
Yeah.
And that includes a bathroom. So it's got seating inside for maybe 10 or 12 people.
Mm-hmm.
Now outside, we've been able to extend that a bit of late. So everybody come check out the outdoor patio, but air conditioning inside, but it's only 10 or 12 people. So as a matter of fact, you are going to meet and talk to people when you go in there, because there is no keeping to yourself.
Yeah.
If you get in there, maybe it's first thing, but happy hour starts 4 to 7. you're not going to be sitting there quietly alone for long, because there's going to be a regular that comes in and they're going to introduce themselves. My staff is trained that we engage with our customers. We are not a beer bar that hands you a beer and stands there quietly, until you give your next order. We talk to our people. We enjoy conversations and talking about the spirits that we serve, and agaves and the different liquors and Mexican brands that we carry. We're proud of those things. So,
all right. And so, is this kind of like an extension then of the office? I mean, how did El Rey come around here?
So El Rey came around. Again, I think there might have been some tequila involved, but a buddy of mine and I had been talking about how much he liked the office, and boy, he'd sure like to get into the bar business. And we had thought about expanding to a second location just because the office is so small that it's truly a double-edged sword. It's so nice to be at a place where people feel lucky to get in, right? It's like going to one of those speakeasies where there's always a line outside or something like that. Except the reality is, some people are jumping in an Uber from Old Town, or they're coming, from the hotel zone of the marina. And when you only have a certain amount of seating and you don't have reservations available, people can get a little bit frustrated the fact that they can't get in, especially if they bring somebody that's a little bit not disabled, but maybe has a little trouble getting around, or the situation. So it kind of put the idea in our head, well, if we had a place where we had a little more room, we'd have some overflow. So let's do something else in Versalles. And then that would give us kind of the best of both worlds. So that's what we did. And so we opened El Rey. It's been through a couple of iterations, as you and I discussed before we started here today. The idea originally started as a kind of a night spot and lounge, and don't know, but that wasn't really landing. I don't, my take on Versalles, at least at this juncture, is it's not a super late night spot. There are a couple of bars, the office included, and a couple up and around that area that stay open till 10 or 11 or midnight or 1, but not a lot of super late night stuff going on. And as a result, that kind of a late night loungy feel didn't work. And so we kind of morphed it into more of doing what Reanna and I had been accustomed to doing, which was the only kind of food I know, which is the smoked barbecue from Oklahoma. So I had to get these smokers down here, and now we've really leaned into that, and along with just the sports theme, because we're both big sports fans. She was an athlete growing up, so was I, and we both love NFL and soccer and all sports. So we really like having a place here that's big enough that can hold 50, 60, 100 people, air-conditioned lounge. We've got 7 TVs now. So we can do all the different feeds. We have all the games every weekend, every college, every NFL game, all the World Cup stuff will be here, all the league soccer stuff. So we really are happy to be a sports venue and a tequila bar. We have a huge tequila shelf you and I were talking about before we got started too. And I really love the agave. I love the tequila. I love the mezcal, and I love learning about it. I love talking about it, and love teaching people about it. So we do a lot of tastings here at both bars, actually. And so that's kind of how El Rey morphed into existence.
You have you have a regular menu here at the restaurant?
So we do. So we have a full menu that is our daily full menu. And then what we do is usually along about Wednesday or Thursday, I get up and get to smoking. And so by Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, we'll almost always have some special. And what we've been promoting lately is the brisket and the ribs. People seem to really like those. And so we've been doing kind of on our regular menu, we do some pulled pork as a regular rotator, and that's smoked. And we do smoked chicken wings. So we have alitas and pulled pork every day on our standard menu. So what we do is we kind of mix with that. And then Reanna makes homemade cornbread. She does her own coleslaw. We do homemade smoked baked beans, and then roasted potatoes and things like that as sides. So basically on the weekends, you can come in, and if you just want a plate, you can do one of the special plates, or you can kind of do like a mix board, as we started promoting just this weekend. One for, I think 600 pesos, which has got our standard alita, smoked wings and pulled pork, and Argentinian sausage for 600 pesos, plus all those sides. It's enough for 2-3 people to eat.
Yeah.
And then if it's a weekend and we've got the ribs or the brisket, those are about 800. Again, with the wings and the Argentinian sausage, you get 2 pieces of cornbread and a double portion of the potatoes and coleslaw and beans. It's enough for 2 or 3 or sometimes 4 people to jump on and drink a bucket or 2 of beers and watch a game. So yeah, and that way we're not smoking every single day,
right?
Which was kind of getting to be a little bit too much. So we're limiting that, but we like doing it. I do enjoy the smoking process, and I have fun with it, but I want to keep having fun with it.
Right. Of course, you don't get burned out on smoking, So you did mention some of the things that are on your regular menu. Can you kind of give us a little bit more idea of what's on the regular menu?
Yeah. So, I mean, keep it simple, stupid is how I kind of think of it, and that's what I wanted to do with this menu. So, think of it this way. The proteins are steady. I smoke turkey, and that's on there every day. Pulled pork on there every day. And ground beef, like carne molido, every day.
Mm-hmm.
So take those 3 proteins, and you can we have street tacos, we have nachos, we have quesadillas. So those kind of work however you like them, and sliders. So then you kind of take any of those proteins, and you've now made almost all of our menu.
Yeah. The
smoked wings are on there every day just because those are kind of what we're famous for. Plus, I think any good sports bar's got to have some good wings.
Yeah.
And then I think we've got a taco salad on there that's a regular on this menu, and some like chips and salsa and queso, and some of the we tried to make it local centric. So there's quesadillas, there's tacos, there's a little something for everybody, and then kind of more of the chips and salsa and queso gringo style that some people are used to, with a more of a Tex-Mex feel.
Mm-hmm.
We're kind of trying to merge both worlds a bit.
Yeah.
And the funniest part is just getting a lot of locals to try something a little bit outside their comfort zone. And Ree's homemade chili. I forgot to mention that made the final menu, and so we have that daily. So that's a nice mix too, because you can add that to nachos, or it's a meal by itself with cornbread. And explaining to some of the locals what chili means, from Oklahoma and Texas versus what chili means here was a little bit of a chore. But once they've started trying it and seeing their face when I introduce them to a Frito chili pie or something like that, like the explanation, there is no translation for Frito chili.
No, there isn't, right? That's for sure. All right. So at the office, do they have a menu too? Or do you guys do the same menu?
So what we do is we run it. Literally, we're here at Vienna and Francia, right? We're at 200 Vienna here at the corner of Vienna and Francia. The office is at España and Francia. So it's literally 3 blocks up.
Okay. So it's not too far. So
I run it up there 10 times a night, back and forth. So I stay so svelte.
I know. Yeah, I was going to say, this is how you do it, huh? All right. And then let's talk a little bit about your tequila tasting, right? You were talking a little bit about
the Agave Abogado.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of it's not a new
the
thing.
Abogado, if you don't know, it's a lawyer. Okay. So all right. So there we go. Okay.
And don't come with any preconceived notions. Right. Not all lawyers are bad.
No, don't do that. In fact, you probably just leave all that stuff at home, right?
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah. And I always tell people nobody likes a lawyer till you need one, right? So
Right.
especially if you need a agave avocado,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
But yeah, just a cute name my wife came up with. So if you go to elraybarpv.com or if you go to the agaveabogado.com, both sites will direct you to the booking for our tastings, and they're just different than some you get here in PV. And I've been to great tastings here, and I've been to some not so great tastings here. And it mostly depends on what you're paying for and what you're looking for, right? If you're just looking for, if it's a tourist who's just looking for a cheap buzz, you can almost pull it off for free down on the Malecon, but boy, you're going to pay for it the next day, drinking a bunch of sugar water and bad fake tequila and God knows what. What I tell people is, it's just like buying a Honda or buying a Mercedes or buying something in the middle. There's different levels of every different event. Ours happens to be more of a premium agave tasting. And what I mean by that is, you're paying a little more for it. It's, I wanted to keep it under $100. Online, it's at $95. If you're a local and you come in and book it, we do offer a local discount to those of us that live and stay here in PV. And so please feel free to come in and ask for that. I'm happy to hook up any of our local residents. But even at full boat online price at $95 US, call it 1,800 pesos or 16, whatever that exchange rate is today. I think it's a value because what we offer is, first of all, the experience is here. Usually it's either here or at the office, depends on the number in the party. If it's 4 or 6, I'll do it at the office just because it's very quaint there. But my tequila tasting is audio, video. So there's media involved, a lot of video and photos of personal experiences with me and Reanna and our friends at a lot of the distilleries in Tequila Town. We've had the good fortune to be able to hang out with Chava Rosales at Cascaween, and we've spent many a nights at Casa Sayas at the Tecaleño Resort and Distillery. Fortaleza with Guillermo is one of the coolest tequila tours anyone could take anywhere. And so we've got some really good stuff from being involved in those things. And we haven't been just once or twice. We've been out there many times. And Renee at Atanasio, we've been to Arete. There's just so many cool different spots, and you can tour Tequila Town and have so many different experiences there, that it's fun to tell people about, because real tequila aficionados, I have found, they can't even find the liquid hardly wherever they're from. They see a bottle of Fortaleza and their eyes pop out of their head because they can't even get it in Houston or Dallas or Phoenix or wherever they're from, much less have the opportunity to see it and talk to someone who's been to that distillery and drank with Guillermo at his private man cave in the Fortaleza distillery, and been to Sandy's Tacos, which he named after one of his rescue dogs, and they have tacos there on site. Have you ever been to Tequila Town?
No.
Oh my gosh! Well, when you want to go, let me know. We'll run out there. But I say all that to say it's a pretty immersive experience. It goes on for probably at least 2 hours. The last one we did a couple Sundays ago went longer than that, just because they were having a great time. But it's comfortable chairs, it's air conditioned. We do it in nice stemware, which is important to drinking really nice tequila, to get the bouquet, to get the aroma. It's like drinking nice wine. We're not just sitting here licking salt and slamming, shooters. We talk about how to drink tequila. We talk about the glasses to drink tequila. It is a little bit of a snobby adventure. We don't make it not fun, though. I mean, it's for everybody. If you don't want to be snobby, you can just sit there and drink really nice tequila. But if you want to learn something about the brands and you want to learn something about the product, we try to give you a little bit of knowledge. I don't want it to be boring, but I do want it to be more than just slamming tequila. But
Mhm.
it also is drinking tequila because I do like drinking tequila, and so we include welcome cocktails, cantaritos. There's cool music. Like I said, the audio video presentation. We do at least 5 to 7 expressions through tequila, mezcal, raicilla, sotol. We do a lot of different brand promotion, but almost always include at least Cascoin, Tequileno, Fortaleza, Arete, Atanasio, some of the more premium brands. So people get a real value for their spend. To be quite honest with you, by the time they get out of here, that mixed with my wife is her love language is food. So you can't come to something like that we host without there being something to eat alongside of it. So
Yeah,
it's not
yeah.
just a tequila tasting, it's a true pairing. And we do that with a lot of different flavors. And so people leave with a real immersive experience that I think is different than anything else you would get around town.
That's very interesting. Wow, it is complex. There's a lot to it. And I'll have a link to that in the show notes, as well as I'll have the maps to get you to the front door of the El Rey Bar and, of course, the office. You'll find it at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. You've got quite a beautiful spot in the back of El Rey Bar here, where we're sitting. I'm looking at it from here through a window. Tell us about your little your area in the back.
Yeah. So when we took this space a year and a half ago, neither patio was covered, to my recollection, or maybe the back one was, but it was certainly lower. We raised that roof and closed it the way I showed you, where we weatherproofed it, let's say, and had got it basically climate controlled for at least, the coming 6 months, to where it's very, very nice to sit out there.
Yeah.
Especially during the afternoon, evening hours. And so the idea, we have always prided ourselves in both locations that we're everybody's establishments. We are not focused on one clientele base. We want everybody to feel welcome in our bars. And so we have a diverse lineup almost every week of different things that we offer. For instance, we're a sports bar. Of course we are. We have 7, 8, 9 TVs, and we play college football all Saturday and NFL all Sunday. And Monday night we do Flags for Cash, which is a little football game where we blow whistles and give away prizes for penalties. Tuesdays we're closed at El Rey. Tuesdays at the office are Tuesdays, and we have Thursdays here at El Rey. So in the same sports bar that you might have people watching sports all weekend, you're going to have Thursdays with a disco party out on that back space on Thursday.
Yeah.
Friday night is ladies' night tonight. And so Friday night, you come in, any lady comes in and buys any dinner item and a margarita or a sangria. And that's the last margarita or sangria she pays for from 6 to 9. It's bottomless after that. So you buy a dinner item and one cocktail, and you're drinking the rest of the night bottomless.
Nice.
So we started getting some pushback from a lot of our gay clientele. Hey, where's ours? So our Thursdays, that promotion now stands on Thursdays on our Thursdays. And then of course, like we discussed, we do all the smoking on the barbecue on the weekends. So the back space in that vein we did some drag shows back there last year. I don't know if you caught any of the acts last season, but there was a group that came in called the Divas, and just an unbelievably talented group of guys that are singers and artists, and happened to do most of their performance, I think, or maybe all of it. I didn't see all of them here, but they did some stuff at Act 2, and they did some stuff at the Social Club, most times in drag, but it wasn't a drag show like we were discussing. So we are going to try to promote some musical entertainment nights whatever that looks like, right? So it's not just a drag show. It might be a drag show, and it might even be performers in drag, but it's about the food and drink, but B, the music. And because several of these people are just so talented. And I couldn't care less if I'm watching a drag show necessarily or watching a musical dinner performance. I don't know how to even distinguish the two necessarily
right.
if it's the same person doing it. So that's kind of the scheme, plan, thought. I always laugh because I always say, you want to see God laugh, make a plan, especially in Mexico, right? So that's kind of what we're planning to do with the Backspace this season, is do some performance, but it's also just great overflow for the football games, fight nights, UFC. We had the boxing a couple weeks ago. Canelo was fighting. We had the Chivas games. Now we got World Cup coming up. So we're gonna have some areas, and I know we're gonna need to be able to have two separate, God forbid, like when the Chivas were playing America the other night, we had people from both sets, right? So it's good to have them on the front patio and others on the back. So that's kind of the plan. And look, the real plan is we want a cool vibe. We want people to have a good time. We want people to leave here going, hey, the food was really good. But even if you don't come here and say, I just came here for the food, I want you to leave going, I came there not knowing necessarily what I was coming for, but I left and I'm going back because I had a good time. People were kind to me. It was comfortable. It felt like a good value, and I want to come back.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of what we're trying to do.
Very good. Very good. All right. All right. Well, let's go out into the neighborhood. You're in Versalles. So what kind of places are around here that might interest people that are really not at all familiar with the neighborhood, other than that there's restaurants of almost every corner and in between too. So
yeah, and it's funny. I always forget that 4 years ago I'd been coming here 30 years. I didn't know what Versalles was. Matter of fact, I flat-foot refused to come look at properties over here when I was looking to buy. I told my realtor, quit sending me this stuff. I don't even know where that is. It sounded like it might as well be in, Acapulco to me. I didn't know.
Right.
I had no idea it was this close to everything I was accustomed to. Number one. Number two, I had no idea that it was such a cool residential area that was so artsy and fun and funky, flat surfaced, easy to walk. Costco's here. La Comer is here. The Plaza Caracoles down the street. We are now getting, I would say this is kind of the gastronomic hub of PV these days.
Yeah,
not to discredit everything beautiful going on everywhere else. But they've been doing that downtown in Cinco and other places for years and years. But, Memo Wolf came over here a decade ago and started it with Barrio Bistro, and Gaetano's got La Tosca over here. And I could name them off. My next door neighbor's got Mario. He owns Cha, which is probably one of the best breakfast spots in the city. And then he's got Numho next door, and he does some really, really cool fusion stuff there. It's just nice to rub elbows with these guys, to be around that kind of talent.
Yeah.
I never have called myself a chef. I don't call myself a chef today. I make barbecue. I want to be a tequilino guy. I want to serve you a tequila and give you a plate of ribs. But I'm not competing against the likes of those fellows or the ladies around town. They're really gifted. My wife is in that category. She's great. There seems to be a more resurgence over here now of a call for some more art studios,
Mm-hmm.
some more maybe like a museum or something along those lines, more of a something not necessarily food or drink related, because there are plenty of those things kind of here. What we talk about as a group, as an association, if you will, of fellow like-minded restaurateurs and bar owners here is how do we get people to come over and stay and come out of the zone and come out of the marina? Like, besides, is it just date night and they're coming for dinner? Like,
Yeah.
what I think people don't know and what I wish they knew is you should come over here probably 3 hours before wherever you think you've got reservations, and maybe don't even make reservations unless it's really a busy time of year, because one of the fun things about being in Versailles is you can walk. It's only about 4 blocks by 4 blocks.
Right.
You can walk the whole dang thing in an hour, and you can see everywhere, and you can go in and look at their menus, and you can go talk to most of the owners, and you can see what they've got to offer that night. And a lot of it's not going to be on their websites, because a lot of people down here don't have fancy websites and they don't have huge social media presence yet, because this is kind of, you know, a work in progress, so to speak. And so, I submit that that's a fun way to do it. I also, just not to leak information, but give you a little scoop, is that I think, the plan is at some point, hopefully in the near future, to get some sort of a weekly market here in Versailles. We tried it a couple years ago, and it was a hit for a minute and a half. It just didn't sustain itself very well because I don't think it was very well organized. And so we're trying to get the organization to it. Like, I can tell you, I do have personal experience, and I am involved with some of the ownership of Cheeto and Barrio and Gaetano from La Tosca, and all the ladies and gentlemen up on España Restaurant Row, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
We did it last year. You might remember we did a New Year's Eve event, and we had probably 1,000+ people come out on New Year's Eve. We're doing an even bigger one this year, so people should be aware of that. Like, it's going to be a nice time. We had DJs, we had live bands. We're going to have the street closed down again there on España, lights, and it's a whole spectacle where you can come and enjoy your whole night and move around Versailles and see all these different things. So there's a lot going on over here. And I think in the next year, we're going to see a lot of expansion into some more cultural enterprise and some more of that'll hopefully continue to bring shopping, culture, museum, and some things to do during the day, which is kind of where my desire for the tequila tasting is because I try to do those at 1, 2, or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So it allows people to come over here and do an event, a cultural event, which is also a drinking event, and they're having some fun.
Yeah.
But kind of pregame and do something where you're learning a bit and having some fun, and then move on to your next thing. So,
yeah, it's interesting because I think, as you point out, the Versailles area is kind of a hit and run kind of a place. You go to eat, and then what do you do? And so I like your idea, and I like those kind of plans. I like the idea of just walking down and just checking out, just walking up and down and seeing what's going on. Tell us a little bit about Tequila Town, because I imagine you drive there, but how have you taken a bus there? I mean, how do you get there?
A few different ways. It kind of all depends on what level of budget you're working with. You can take a bus for certainly under $100, maybe even under $50. If I'm being honest, I haven't personally ridden any buses there, but I would certainly not be opposed to going there. There's some really nice transportation buses for $50 and $60 and sometimes less that are like right in first class.
Yeah, the buses are nice.
You can make Tequila Town, probably not on one of those now, but you can make it in about 3 hours flat with the new highway and the new toll road. You can drive it, right? Honestly, you can fly it for about the same money because of the expense of those tolls, gasoline, etc., parking. I just fly it.
Okay.
Typically, I fly it.
So you fly into Guadalajara?
Flying to Guadalajara, 20-minute flight. You can catch a Viva Aerobus or Volaris or something dirt cheap generally. If you use their point program like I do, sometimes you can just get a free flight. Say you spend $30, $40, right?
Okay.
You can arrange transportation from Guadalajara there. If you have a group 4, 5, 6, it depends again at what level you want to go. People want to reach out to me. I have connections there. But you can, a taxi is probably going to charge you somewhere in the neighborhood of $60 to $100. But you get 4 people dividing that up. It's not too bad.
No.
And once you're in Tequila Town, you don't need a car.
Well, I hope not.
Well,
look, you can't be drinking and driving. Don't be telling me we're doing this.
Well, I agree.
Okay,
I agree.
right.
But also it's a very walkable little town. And Tequila is an amazing little place too. It's Tequila is a working town. And what I mean by that, it's not just a tourist little spot. It's a working town. Now, I would say 90% of the people that work there work in the tequila industry in some form or fashion, either tourism or in the actual distilleries. But it is a working town. And so those people live and work there. It's not like being in PV where, we have so many people come here that work in the tourism industry.
Yeah.
That said, the other option is there are, more luxury transports from PV to Tequila Town. And again, if people want to reach out, we actually help provide an offering through the Agave Abogado that's a VIP premium experience, Mercedes Renner, overnight. And we, arrange the hotels, we arrange the visits to the tequila distilleries. We arrange some private dinners and some kind of meet and greets with some of the owners of some of those distilleries if they're available. So it's really kind of niche and fun if you're really into that stuff.
Oh, that's cool. All right, so we'll have that information. Then they can get a hold of you by just contacting you at the Tequila Abogado there, right?
Yeah, the Agave Abogado or at elraybarpv.com. Either one.
Right?
Yeah, they all lead to the same spot.
Yeah, they do, right? Just you. Yeah. So, Lawrence.
Yeah, Lorenzo.
Elgringo.com. That's what we got. All right, we'll have all that in the show notes. And let's just get back to this. So give us all of your different social media kind of things. You're on
We're on
you're on
Facebook.
We're on
the Facebooks, we're on the Instagrams,
right.
We're on the TikToks, we're on all of it. If you some garbled version of El Rey Bar PV, you'll find us on Facebook. I believe it's now at elraybarpv at facebook.com. Instagram is El Rey Bar. TikTok, the Agave Abogado is on most all of those. So if you have any trouble, you can always just Google Lorenzo or Agave Abogado or El Rey Bar and PV, and you'll land on one of our pages or our homepage.
Hey, I did when I was Googling your place. It was pretty easy, and you can actually find it. Of course, I'll have all those links in the show notes at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. Am I missing anything? Did I miss anything at all here on this?
I feel like we've talked their ears off, but basically just come in and check it out. If you haven't heard about us, thanks for coming and doing this, because we like the promotion, of course, but we also just like to let people know kind of what we're up to over here. Because I don't know if you know my friend Paco, but he's got a show every daily, and we go and do some highlight stuff with him quite often, and he's a regular in here and a good friend of the bar.
Very good. All right.
But he's always saying, "Jesus, Lawrence, you guys are just always evolving." But honestly, I feel like in this business, especially in the bar and restaurant game, you have to keep moving. Like you have to keep adapting to what the next thing is, especially in a town like PV. I mean, it's a tourist town for one. And so you make it through the summertime where it's tough and you've done all the juggling and backflipping you can to try to just pay the bills.
Right. Keep it
And
together. Yeah.
now you're trying to figure out like what's next and who's coming and what do they want and what's cool now and what's on the scene. But I don't want to change too much because I don't like the idea that we want to move everything. I don't want to move mountains, but I do want to take into account what people are looking for and make sure we're meeting those needs. And I think we're doing a pretty good job of that. So
Yeah. Well, people seem to like it.
well, we like having them.
Yeah. Okay. Well, listen, I want to thank you very much for allowing me to actually come into your beautiful restaurant bar and sports bar. I mean, yeah, the beautiful TVs everywhere, and it was very comfortable. Everybody's air conditioned, and allow me to introduce you and El Rey Barbecue and Bar, and or is it El Rey Bar and Barbecue? What is it? I mean,
El
come
Rey
on.
Bar and Grill.
Bar and Grill.
Yeah, the barbecue is just for the funsies of it now. I mean,
Yeah.
we're always going to have it, and people are always going to know us for that. I don't like disappointing people. And so that's part of the barbecue game too, right?
Yeah.
Like I have friends back in Oklahoma that they've kind of blown up and they got these little mom and pop spots that they started. And now they're huge operations and they are open for like 6 hours a day and they're running out of food usually at like 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
It just is what it is. So what I would invite people to do is if there's something you like, if you've been here before and there's something you fall in love with, or you've been told to come here and try something, check us out on social media or just call me. I answer my phone directly. If you call El Rey Bar, you're going to get Lorenzo. And I'll tell you what we have and what we don't have and when we're going to have it so you're not disappointed.
Very good. All right. Excellent. I love that. All right. Well, everybody check it out and the office too, right? I mean,
check out the office, PV. We're right down at Francia in España. Come check us out at El Rey Bar and Grill and check out the Agave Abogado.
Absolutely. All right.
Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thanks again
Very
for
nice
coming on
to
the
meet you.
show. Thank you so much, Lawrence. Such passion, making clients happy. Wow. He really has embraced his new life in Mexico, hasn't he? All right, I have all the links that you need to get you over to both El Rey Bar and Grill and the Office PV in Colonia Versalles, just blocks away from each other. Great drinks, excellent food and service, your favorite sports, your very own cheers, where everybody knows your name. Now, of course, they won't know your name unless you get yourself over there, so go ahead and do it. Get yourselves over to Colonia Versalles, walk around like Lawrence said, and do some of that easy footwork, It's mostly flat, and take in the magic of this very popular foodie colonia in Puerto Vallarta, and then stop in at the Office PV or at El Rey Bar and Grill for a quick drink, for bar food, barbecue, tequila tasting, a bite to eat, watch your favorite sports team, enjoy a drag show. I mean, there's so much you can do there, depending on the day, of course. I mean, you can't do that every day, but it's never a dull moment over at El Rey and the Office. I have links to all that, all their social media and their websites and Google Maps will take you to the front door of both places of El Rey Bar and Grill and the Office PV in Colonia Versalles in the show notes. Now, Lawrence mentioned his friend and the late, great Paco Hida when we were talking. I recorded this interview before Paco surprised us all and left all his listeners and followers in shock. But I found a really nice YouTube video of Paco interviewing Lawrence at El Rey Bar and Grill, and I embedded it into the show notes for you all to watch. Of course, you can see it at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. Check that out. It's a really sweet interview. And that should do it for this week. Stay tuned for more on-the-ground reports from Puerto Vallarta, Mexico, with travel tips, great restaurant excursion ideas, and more. But until then, remember that this is an interactive show where I depend on your questions and your suggestions about all things Puerto Vallarta. If you think it's something that I should be talking about, well, please reach out to me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending us your message. And remember, if you're considering booking any type of tour while you're in Puerto Vallarta, you must go to vallartainfo.com. That's JR's website. Reserve your tour through him right from his website. Remember, this is a value for value proposition. It's experience and on-the-ground knowledge of everything Puerto Vallarta in exchange for your making the purchase of a tour that you do anyway. You're just doing it through him as a way of saying thank you. Thanks, JR, for being our guide. It costs no more than if you were going to use someone else. So do it, really. And when you do take one of those tours, email about your experiences. Maybe you can come on board and share with others what you liked or didn't like about the tour. Again, contact me by clicking on the Contact Us tab and sending off a message. Don't forget, he's got his maps, his DIY tours. I have links to all of those in the show notes. And once again, if you like this podcast, please take the time and subscribe, follow, or share with a lover of Puerto Vallarta. Give me a good review wherever or however you happen to be listening. That way we can get the word out to more and more people about the magic of this place, Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Remember, I made it easy for you to adjust that with each episode I create. But if you haven't been to my website, you really need to have a look there. I have links to the places we talk about, interesting pictures and more, all right there in my blog posts and the show notes for each episode of the show. So check them out for sure if you haven't already, all right? Okay. Thanks so much to our guest, Lawrence Goodwin from El Rey Bar and Grill and the Office PV. Great barbecue, tequila tasting, sports, great food and mixed drinks. Make them part of your plan when you come to visit Puerto Vallarta next. I have links and maps, as I say, in the show notes at www.puertovallartatravelshow.com. And hey, thanks for listening, all of you, all the way through this episode of the Puerto Vallarta Travel Show. This is Barry Kessler, signing off with a wish for y'all to slow down, be kind, and live the Vallarta lifestyle. Nos vemos, amigos.
De Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de amor junto al mar. Solo camino eterno por la playa, me encuentro junto al río cuando todo está en calma. Pronto cae la noche, brillas Puerto Vallarta, samba de Puerto Vallarta, noche de arrullo en el mar, samba de Puerto Vallarta.